I'm going to tell you how you can get to 15% body fat fast and why it should be a non negotiable for male firefighters. Now, just to be clear, this is the same system that I used myself to get down to 15% body fat and below. And it's not just me, but also firefighters like my client Kyle, who lost 140 pounds in his first 18 months. And more importantly, I'm going to tell you what actually happens when you do that as a male firefighter and why it's so important. All right, and if you're on your own fat loss journey as a firefighter, then I want to let you know I actually have a free 12-week fat loss protocol that's listed in the description of this video. You can just click the link, fill out a quick form, and if you're qualified, then maybe we can talk about what coaching looks like too. Other than that, let's get on to the video. All right, the first point that I want to cover is why does it matter? Like, why should you give a shit? Why is it important to be 15% body fat, at least as a male firefighter? And the best way that I can describe this is to think of it from this analogy, which is the weighted vest analogy. When you have excess body tissue, it is like walking around with a weighted vest, right? And if you've done this, odds are, if you're listening to this as a firefighter, you might have some experience with it. You walked around like that for a little while, it can get pretty tiresome. There's a reason that people do that. It's because it's good exercise. Now, what's the problem? The problem is, what if you couldn't take that vest off? What would happen to your joints, to your heart? So when you walk around with excess body fat tissue specifically, it doesn't matter if that tissue serves a functional purpose or not, right? And I'm not talking about like, oh, it doesn't serve it. You need it for insulation. You need it for hormonal function. Listen, if you're that low of body fat, then you probably aren't listening to this video anyways. If you're sitting around at 5 or 6%, then this video isn't for you in the first place. But if you're above 15%, you have to understand that your body fat is there as an extra energy reserve. It's not serving any other purpose besides that, especially tactically and especially functionally. But it's still a tissue that your heart has to perfuse with oxygen to keep it alive. So it is something that your heart has to work extra hard for something that doesn't really get you a big return. So you want to take that vest off and eliminate the tissue because then your heart can focus on pumping more blood and oxygen to the tissues that actually provide a functional value to your body. So ask yourself, like, if I could eliminate 20 to 30 pounds of excess tissue and maintain the muscle mass and build strength in the meantime, then how would that ease the burden on my heart, even at rest? And one of the coolest things that I've seen inside the program that we run is from one of my clients, Angie, who's now also a coach, and she was able to lower her resting heart rate by 15 beats per minute without adding in any additional cardio. That came from just her weight loss journey and her strength gains combined. And we just found out a little bit later that she shaved off 5 minutes from her pack test. That is something that is nothing short of incredible. So if she can do that, then what's stopping you from doing it? All right, so what are the practical steps that we have to follow if you're going to get down to 15% body fat? Like, what are the actual solutions and action steps? We can't have this conversation without talking about nutrition. And the thing is, we don't have to make it complicated. Right? What we try to do, especially as firefighters, is like mimic people in the fitness space that are living totally different lifestyles and can dedicate their entire days to this. You do not need to have every single macronutrient dialed in perfectly to lose weight and get down to 15% body fat. So if you're wondering that, don't worry. You can have, here's your sigh of relief. You can make it very simple because unless your goal is to step on stage, which for most of us, it is not, you can do this by simplifying the equation with this simple strategy. Now, I want you to get a piece of pen and paper. I want you to write this down. The calories that you should be eating are your goal body weight times the number 13. That's it. If you were waiting for more, like that's how complicated we need to make it, right? You're probably going to see that number and think to yourself, that can't be right. That seems like way too much. Okay. I want you to think about it from this. How often have you done something extreme, lost a bunch of weight, got tired of it, wasn't able to keep it up, and then rebounded hard and gained back more weight than you initially lost? And how many times have you repeated that exact same process? So the goal here isn't to make extreme changes. It is to do moderate things that you can keep up for the long haul. The goal should be to do this for the next 20 or 30 years. Is the strategies that you've employed up to this point Do they fall into that category? And if the answer is no, then are we really wondering why we haven't been able to make progress? After that, we have to talk about like your protein goal as a part of this. And I want to give you another sigh of relief, which is you do not need to eat 1 gram per pound of body weight, the gold standard of the fitness industry. There is still a lot of that out there, but the fitness industry is kind of like the fire service. It is late to adopting new research and technology. And if you disagree with that, I don't know what department that you work at, but it's certainly not that way in the Midwest. And the good news is that your protein only has to follow this equation, which is your goal body weight times 0.75 grams. That's it. The rest of it can be put into eating the way that you enjoy. And we can make nutrition simple, and you can get down to 15% body fat by following this equation and the step that I'm about to talk about next. This brings me into point number 3, which is you just need to walk more. Cardio does not help you with fat loss. You can do cardio. It's great. I like cardiovascular fitness, but here is the thing that you probably don't know about cardio, which is it burns 100% glucose once you reach a high enough heart zone. That's glucose in your muscles. That's glucose in your bloodstream. That's great. Why does it happen? Because it's the most accessible form of energy. It's very quick when you need it. And cardio is a very high demand activity. So it's going to reach for the most simple, the easiest form of energy it can find. So it shifts into a pathway of 100% glucose burn. Have you seen a long distance runner that maybe has lost weight over time, but their body composition is still kind of flabby? We have a term for that. It's called skinny fat. Maybe you've seen a firefighter that falls into this category. Do not confuse weight loss with fat loss. There is a major difference between these two things. So I'm going to encourage you to walk more. Why? Because walking, a low impact, lower heart rate activity, is going to burn 50% fat to 50% glucose. And you will use this as your fat burning activity. You don't want to just lose weight. You definitely don't want to lose muscle. You want to keep your muscle. You want to keep your functional tissues. We want to burn off the fat and get you down to 15% body fat as a male firefighter. Cool. Let's focus on positive body recomposition. Now, this is going to bring us into the last point, which is point number 4. Point number 4, lift hard 2 times per week. What? That's not enough. I didn't say stay sedentary the rest of the time. I said you lift hard and push the envelope, push your nervous system, push your limits 2 times per week. That is enough stimulus as long as those workouts themselves are truly pushing it close to the edge. 2 times per week, combined with everything else that makes your life difficult as a firefighter, well, you need the recovery. You need it more than most people. So here's the thing. When you do this, you don't burn out. All right. Yeah. Is it an extreme approach? No, but that's not what we're trying to do because we already have problems with consistency in the fire service. You want to do this again, back to the question, is this a habit or a routine that I can keep up for the next 20 or 30 years? Is my goal to make quick progress and then revert back to exactly how I was? Or do I want to be different from here on out? Do I want to make a lifestyle change that is actually going to stick? Can I find a way to make it sustainable? Can I make progress continually? Can I focus on that instead of perfection? Good news is here, lifting weights, as long as you have appropriate rest times, is also going to burn fat at a 50-50 ratio of fat to glucose. And on top of that, you're going to build massive strength so you don't have to lose any muscle tissue in the process. These things all together, all 4 of these points, understanding why it's important and how your body manages its oxygen supply and where it supplies that oxygen to with your tissues, understanding the nutrition equations that we've covered today, learning to walk more, 14,000 steps a day if you're really serious about it, and just lifting hard twice per week. I promise you, if you just put these 3 things into play, you're already going to start seeing progress more than any other guru online is willing to admit you will. But I'm going to sell it to you straight. Okay. So that's what this system looks like and how you're going to maintain these kinds of results and maintain this kind of momentum over time. And don't just take my word for it. We have plenty of examples of firefighters that have enrolled in our program that have seen massive results doing these things, whether we're talking about Kyle, who we brought up earlier. He had lost 140 pounds as one of the first clients of Reclaim, in the course of 18 months, which is really healthy, amazing, astounding weight loss, but also stronger than he's ever been and hasn't had an injury since. We can talk about Steve. He's a FDNY firefighter. He came in with some back problems, and he is now walking away from that more mobile than he's ever been and completely pain-free with a lifestyle that he can keep for the rest of his long career. Or we could talk about Forrest, who lost 25 pounds in his first 3 months inside the program working out of Memphis. All of these people have one thing in common. They did a program that was actually designed around the lifestyle that they had, not the lifestyle of somebody who thinks they understand, and certainly not the lifestyle of an Instagram influencer who has 24 hours a day to work out, to meal prep all of their things, and to sleep 10 hours at a time. This is designed understanding the hardships and the constraints that actually apply to the fire service. So if you are in that category, you're tired of spinning your wheels, then again, I'm going to invite you to apply to the best firefighter program on the face of the planet. I don't care. Call me arrogant. Like, I'm obviously biased, but it is the truth. And not only that, like, we have the evidence and we have the results to back it up. So if you're interested in being a part of something like that, and here's the caveat, you're willing to do the work. All three of those examples that I just listed, they have something in common, which is they weren't expecting a magic pill. They weren't expecting a quick fix. They were the type of people that either became or already were the ones willing to show up and actually do the work to make it happen. So if you're willing to be that type of person, then come apply and see if it works for you. If you just want a quick fix, then please, respectfully, stay away from me and my program. Other than that, let me leave you with the same thing as always, which is, regardless of how you feel and think about the job, being in shape is part of the uniform, and the only person that can do something about that is you. Until next time.